I'm going to start off with cleaning these parts one by one as I go. I have the transmission up here now. I'm going to start with taking this motor mounting plate off and loosen these bolts that are on here, holding it on here. They're 1/2 inch. Yeah, I'm gonna first start with taking the clutch off, and so that washer just pulls right off, and then I'll need a flat blade screwdriver here. That just pries right off like that. Then there's a spring-loaded clip here that stick it in there and it pops right off like that. Careful it doesn't go flying because it is spring-loaded once again. And then your clutch will pull right off the gear like that. And keep note, if your clutch has a retainer ring like this, make sure it stays with it. And so there's that. Yeah, this will clean right up. Definitely I recommend this stuff right here. It's kind of I know it's like dripped along down there, so you can't really read it all, but yeah, LA is totally awesome. You can get it at probably just about any dollar store or any hardware store, and it's all-purpose concentrated cleaner and degreaser, spot remover. This stuff is absolutely, hands down, some of the best stuff out there to use for this kind of thing. So for working on parts like this too, you can also use like kerosene or like paint thinner if you're trying to just if you're trying to loosen up some really stuck on grime or whatever it is trying to get rid of. I probably wouldn't use it on certain plastics, but I think it won't hurt metals like this. This is all metal, except for that, but you know, it'll do the job. Otherwise, this stuff works really well too. Starting to reveal the original part number label on there, which is kind of faded. Neutral gear case, service part, S89244, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's what it says. So these older transmissions to me just seem to have a much better like the specs they were built to just seem to be much more robust than like a lot of the newer transmissions today, especially the ones today. Like a lot of those are reman transmissions that you're buying aftermarket. So, and they're prone to not lasting as long. But because like the transmission in the 86 Kenmore 60 series I have, that thing, it's pretty much impossible to get that thing to slip into spin prematurely when it's in neutral drain. Not without, like, unless you're like set it on agitate on low speed for like not even a split second. this, and I don't know, I guess it depends too on the machine's age and abuse levels it's had throughout its life. I just know that transmission and that for that Kenmore just is basically impossible to get it to slip. So I don't know how good the neutral pack is on this one, but we'll find out in the near future, I guess. Yeah, for the most part, that's pretty much all cleaned right up. You're gonna get all this stuff out here like when you unscrew this. Otherwise, this is about as good as you're probably gonna get it. Unless you have like one of those old or one of those motorized toothbrushes that you're not using anymore, and you don't care if it gets dirty, and you want to use that for every nook and cranny, at least without taking it apart, like unscrewing it again. But yeah, that'll just about do it for the top. Now, the other good news too is this doesn't seem to have leaked any oil in the past. But look under there, that's sat. I don't know if that's ever been vacuumed, ever been. Yeah, that's all kinds of good stuff under there. Huh. And that's also why you really want to keep your machine and laundry area in general as clean as it can be, because care for your machine and it'll last you a very long time. And it does appear to be pretty rusted on the bottom, so I'm gonna see if that'll clean off as well or not. A lot of it appears to just be surface rust. Of course, I've seen transmissions in way worse shape than that. I mean, way worse shape than this, and they're still kicking it. The areas where it's usually going to be the worst are going to be around this coupler. So I'm going to go ahead and pry that off. See if it won't take nicely to the screwdriver without busting. Just gently sort of persuading it. There we go. So, it's the back of it. Yeah, it'll clean right up and it'll still be serviceable, but again, needs a new isolator coupler in the meantime. Otherwise, just put a new coupler in. Just save these as, keep these as spares. That'd probably be the better, smarter route, as I have already learned that lesson hard ways as well. So this oil seal still appears to have held its worth. There we go. This bottle doesn't like being held sideways, otherwise it won't spray. I think for the most part all this will just scrub on out of there. Not this easy, we might have to use kerosene or something, because I know that usually works like a charm very easily without much effort. think even I use kerosene to clean the transmission on the 86 Kenmore, and I think that even got rid of some of like the surface rust that was here. So we'll see what that'll. We need to watch our oil here because we're dripping out of the air vent. I forgot about that. I'm going to use kerosene on the rest of that. I think that'll work better for the more stubborn stuff. Oh yeah, that like, it's like nothing. And like in the corners, that'll probably just have to be picked out with a screwdriver, but no big deal. Yeah, that's even getting rid of some of the surface rust there. Look at that. I mean, it's still going to be discolored. There's not much you can do about that. That's basically years of set-in rust. It's, unless you take a freaking like angle grinder wheel, wire wheel to it or something, you're gonna be here for hours trying to get all that off with just a rag. These pads still felt like they had pretty good friction in it. I tried turning it and by hand, and it's pretty hard. It's still pretty hard to turn it by hand. So this retainer ring, which is either broken or this is a very interesting retainer ring in that it's only it's not a full ring. It's like in the shape of a C, which is interesting. Maybe that was just that time period, I guess. It actually isn't that bad already. Pads, the band lining itself I don't think needs any cleaning of any kind, so we'll just clean the drum out a little bit and get rid of some of the crap in here, and then just put the banding back in. So I don't know if, let's see if I can get it in frame here. If you notice this side of the band, there's sort of a ledge, I guess, if you want to call it that, on the pads themselves, that kind of go over the metal band itself. Those face down when you put it in, and the flat side of the band faces up when you're inserting it like this into the drum. Just like that. So, good to go. Nothing to that. So I'll just go ahead and put that probably back on here. There isn't really much else we need to do here, I don't think. I hate using paper towels on parts like this because this is what happens. It leaves behind like a lot of fibers and other nice things that you really don't want. But otherwise, yeah, it's pretty much cleaned up there as best as it can be for now. This will just go slide right on the shaft. And it lines up with there's 4 notches here on the gear pinion, which this sits on. This normally would sit so that the tabs on the clutch would sit inside of that. Which, yeah, that's the right way. Should just slide right on. That's why that slot is there. Okay, I better also make another note too on this particular clutch. I don't remember it being this way on a lot of other direct drives, but this retainer, this plastic retainer, is shaped this way, incomplete, for a reason. The open side of that goes on the side where the little, you can see the little hole is, and that's where your spring clip's going to, your spring-loaded retainer clip's going to sit. So, and this slides on the shaft, and it just lines up with these 4 notches here with the tabs. They just sit inside of those, and it should just sit on down like that. Might take some persuasion. There we go. Yeah, you'll have to make sure it's seated all the way. And then the spring-loaded clip inserts into the little hole on the clutch, and your screwdriver pushes it along the way, just works it in under the, so it sits under these little you might have to use your thumb to sort of help it. Just be careful, don't hurt yourself, because this is, again, spring loaded. Kind of like that, and then you just work it kind of along like that. Just like so. And real quick, I'm going to clean these other parts off here. This is your C-clip, which will sit, it'll insert. There's slots on the shaft that you want to interlock that with, or you want to find where those are, because they're on either side, so that'll sort of go harmonize with the two. Let's see, pliers would be the easiest way to get this back on, so like this, you just squeeze and bring it on home, just like that. So that's all the way in, and then lastly your thrust washer sits down. Normally there's a little tab right there where you can see where my left pointer finger is. That I usually like to line that with the back of this C-clip here. You can sort of see there it's open there. I usually like to line that tab so it sits inside of there. I mean, it doesn't really matter, but it just prevents as much, or it doesn't move as much when it's running, so just a preferencing, I guess. But otherwise, there you go. That's installing the clutch. And then we'll set that back for now. And then lastly is just this motor plate. You can see it just needs cleaning from the grime of the old motor coupler and whatnot. So honestly, the transmission shaft being so rusted like that, I'm probably going to actually just sand that down so doesn't become an issue later for reinstalling a new coupler or whatever down the road. Sprayed this down a little bit with some degrease or some Totally Awesome, and then just sprayed it off with the faucet, and then sprayed it with degreaser again, giving it a good wipe down because it was full of some crap probably from the motor that needed to be gotten rid of. So rust from clips, that'll probably also wipe off too. But otherwise, it's just mainly surface stuff. Just wipe that off. Just like so.